Imagine waking up one day to discover that half of everything you earned, half of every hour you worked, half of every choice you made, was quietly taken from you. Not by a thief in the night. Not by a corporation. Not even by your boss. But by the very institutions that promise to protect you. Governments all over the world are taxing you, silently. Without raising tax brackets. Without passing new laws. Without ever saying a word. And the most unsettling part? You didn't see it happen. Because you were never meant to. Today we uncover the hidden taxes that drain ordinary citizens, every minute, every day, and the silent machinery that makes it all possible. For thousands of years, taxation was simple. A king demanded a share of your grain. A ruler took a portion of your land. A government asked for a cut of your income. It was visible. It was painful. And people hated it. This created a problem for governments. Direct taxes make people angry. And angry people revolt. So as societies grew more complex, states invented a new strategy. Invisible taxation. Systems so subtle, so deeply embedded into the economy, that citizens never noticed the wealth being drained away. Today, these hidden taxes generate more money than income tax, corporate tax, and trade taxes combined. In fact, according to global financial studies, the average citizen loses 20% to 40% of their wealth annually to forms of taxation that don't appear on any pay stub. And yet, most people have no idea it's happening. Let's reveal the hidden machinery. 1. The inflation tax, the most powerful hidden tax ever invented. The first, and most destructive, silent tax is inflation. Inflation is often explained as prices going up. But that's not true. Prices don't rise. Your money falls. Every time central banks print more currency, the money in your wallet becomes worth less. Every time governments spend more than they earn, they dilute the value of your savings. This is not an accident. It is a design. From ancient debasement of coins to modern quantitative easing, the strategy is the same. Governments quietly extract wealth by weakening the currency. The inflation tax hits hardest on workers, retirees, savers, low-income families. And yet, the wealthy, those who own assets, see their wealth rise during inflation. Why? Because assets inflate while cash evaporates. Inflation is a tax that needs no law, no vote, no announcement. And yet it removes more wealth than almost any visible tax in history. 2. Bracket creep, when inflation pushes you into higher taxes. Inflation doesn't just raise prices, it pushes you into higher tax brackets without increasing your living standard. This is bracket creep. You earn more money but only in numbers. Your real earnings stay flat, or fall. But the government collects more. They didn't raise your taxes. They didn't change the law. They simply let inflation do the dirty work. This hidden tax drains billions every year from middle-class workers who think they're getting a raise. 3. Currency devaluation, the quiet reset. When a nation is drowning in debt, it has 3 options. Default, raise taxes, or quietly destroy its own currency. Guess which option is used most? Devaluation. When a currency loses value, every citizen loses purchasing power, instantly. Your savings become smaller. Your imports become more expensive. Your wages buy less. Your debt stays the same but your life costs more. Governments prefer currency devaluation because it's invisible. It feels like economic conditions, not political decisions. But in reality, it is a strategic form of silent taxation. 4. Negative real interest rates, the tax on saving. When inflation is high but interest rates are low, savers lose wealth automatically. If inflation is 8% and your bank pays 1%, your savings lose 7% every year. No tax form. No legislation. Money simply evaporates. This is financial repression, a controlled environment where saving is punished, and spending or investing becomes the only way to survive. Governments benefit because inflation quietly eats debt. Banks benefit because they borrow cheap and lend high. Corporations benefit because asset prices rise. Only savers lose. 5. Stealth fees, the invisible collection system. Governments also use thousands of micro-taxes disguised as fees. surcharges, processing costs, environmental levies, infrastructure fees, administrative charges. Each one looks insignificant. Together they form a massive hidden tax network. In many countries, fees now generate more revenue than income tax. 6. Regulatory taxation, the tax without the name. Not all taxes collect money directly. Some collect money through compliance. Regulatory taxation forces individuals and businesses to pay for licenses, permits, mandatory certifications, inspections, reporting requirements. Governments don't pay for this. You do. This system creates a silent, ongoing transfer of wealth from the public to the state, without officials ever voting on a new tax. Crisis. The silent taxation system worked well, until the 21st century exposed its limits. Governments printed trillions. Debt exploded to historic levels. Currencies weakened worldwide. The hidden taxes grew so large that they were no longer hidden. People watched groceries double in price. Rent surged uncontrollably. Savings accounts became jokes. Young people realized they might never afford homes. Then came the moment of revelation. The system wasn't malfunctioning. It was operating exactly as designed. Inflation wasn't a mistake, it was a tool. Bracket creep wasn't an accident, it was a revenue engine. Negative rates weren't oversight, they were strategy. And government debt? It had become so large that only one solution was left. Tax citizens without them noticing. This was the turning point. The moment millions realized the truth. You are taxed even when your tax rate stays the same. You are taxed even when you get a raise. You are taxed even when the government promises not to raise taxes. The silent system had become the dominant system. Consequences. Silent taxation reshapes everything. 1. The middle class shrinks. When hidden taxes rise faster than wages, the middle class collapses. People work harder but feel poorer. 2. Wealth inequality skyrockets. Savers lose. Asset owners win. This pushes society into a new feudal structure. Landlords and renters, creditors and debtors. 3. Generational wealth breaks. Inflation destroys long-term savings. Young people inherit less. The ladder upward disappears. 4. Political distrust grows. People sense the truth. They feel exploited but can't explain why. 5. The real economy weakens. When money loses value, planning becomes impossible. Businesses delay investments. Families stop saving. And society drifts into financial instability. But the biggest consequence? People blame themselves. They think they budgeted wrong. They worked wrong. They saved wrong. When in reality, the system quietly took more than they ever realized. Lesson. The truth is simple and unsettling. Modern taxation is no longer collected through forms, brackets, or votes. It is collected through mechanisms buried inside the money itself. Inflation, devaluation, bracket creep, negative real rates, regulatory extraction, stealth fees. These are the silent hands inside your wallet. And understanding them is the first step toward protecting yourself. Because governments may not warn you, but history does. Every empire that embraced hidden taxation eventually reached the same conclusion. You can only quietly drain the public for so long before the public notices. And when they do, the system changes. The only question now is, are we reaching that moment again? What do you think? Is silent taxation a necessary tool? Or a hidden betrayal? Tell me in the comments below. Let's see how many people are waking up.